Hi friends, this is Anna and
Kelsey.
with Scrapping, Stamping, and Stuff. I've got my little helper here today. She hasn't been around as much since school started, so I'm sure some of you will be glad to hear her. So I'm here today to share with you a bundle, the right triangle bundle, that I mentioned not too long ago. I made a Christmas card with a coordinating stamp set that I mentioned that when I first saw the set, I didn't like it at all. I'm going to be completely honest. I looked at it and I thought, what would you do with that? I did not like it at all. Well, then I thought about it for a little while and I started thinking that you could make quilt cards with these projects, and then I decided that I might love the set. So I ordered it. I ordered the stamp set, the dies, and then I also ordered the coordinating triangle stamp set in the holiday catalog, and I started playing around with it. So you can see a couple of the projects here that I'm going to talk about and show you today, and we are going to work on a few more. So I want to get started so that we can cover a lot of ground with this really neat set. And it's kind of funny, I was working on preparing for this video and Kelsey came home, and what did you say you were making pictures out of today?
Triangles.
Triangles. So here we go, my friends. Who is this?
A cat.
A cat. This is Maisie. Maisie. What else did you make triangles out of?
We made a shark on a paper, a mouse on a paper, and a newt on a paper, and that's all.
Okay, so you can make a lot of things out of triangles, and we're going to make a few things here in the next few minutes. So the first thing I want to show you, there's the first method I guess I want to talk to you about of using this set is just using the stamps. So I played around. On some of my projects I used just the stamps. On some of my projects I used just the die set. And on some of mine, I used both the stamps and the dies. So that's how we're going to organize the video today. We're going to do just stamps on these first few. So I wanted to show you with this how you can use the Stamparatus and these triangles to make patterns and make them repeated and make them evenly spaced and not have to worry about getting them straight, getting them evenly spaced or anything like that. So we're going to use the step stamping technique where we lift the plate out and step it down several times to make this pattern. So I've already lined up the stamp right here where I want it to be next. I started with Blackberry Bliss ink on these. Then I used Rich Razzleberry on the next group and the first ones in this row. Then I used Gorgeous Grape. We are going to continue on with Gorgeous Grape on this next bunch. Then we're going to finish off with Highland Heather, our lightest purple. So I've got that inked. I want to lift it out and step it down one and stamp right there. And we will continue on with this until we make it all the way down. With these triangles, the sky is the limit on the patterns you can create and the pictures you can create and the ways you can use them. I started to look up quilt patterns because if you start looking up quilt patterns, then you can just recreate them because so many of them are made out of triangles. And even if they're made out of squares, you can put two of your triangles together and make a square. So I did some of that as well. So clean off that stamp. Now I need to clean my plate off too. I got ink everywhere like usual. Now I guess I'll start down here at the bottom. I want to line this stamp up where I want it to be. Bring my plate over here and mount it on. And now use my Highland Heather ink to ink it, and we will go back up. So this is one example of a pattern you can create with your triangles. There are a million, and you can stamp them by hand if you want to, or if you want them to be nice and precise, you can use your Stamparatus. Okay, and each time I want to make sure my paper is in the corner. It is coming up a little bit when I lift the plate back up, so I am just making sure it's back in that corner. And I got it up a little high, but that worked.
That's pretty.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Thanks. So here is our pattern, which I think is pretty. I wanted to have that color variation from dark to light. So I am going to mount this on a card here, and we'll put a little greeting on top. And that will be our first project. We are going to create a few here before we're done. All of my greetings today came from the Mini Mate stamp set. Here it is. So you can take a look at that. It has some nice greetings in it. So we'll put happy birthday down there. So there is one sample. Now we'll talk a little bit more about projects you can use just with the stamps. So here's one that I already created, the pineapple. When I was looking up quilt patterns, I saw one with this pineapple and thought, oh my gosh, that's adorable. I have to recreate that. So I did all of this by hand. I did not use my Stamparatus. I just stamped and filled it in. And if you look close, it has plenty of imperfections, but I really like that. I thought that was neat. So I wanted to find something else that we could, a picture of something, a rainbow or a flower or something that we could stamp with some triangles as well. So I'll grab my triangle that we just finished with. We need to use it.
And what are you doing?
What am I doing?
I like those.
What do you like?
These.
Oh, my little drawings. So here are my chicken scratches of some quilt patterns I saw that I wanted to try to recreate. So we are going to try to recreate this little flower one, and I have not done this. So you get to see my experiment right now.
I think you can do it.
You think I can do it?
What's the top one?
The top one?
Yeah.
That was a different flower that used two different sizes of triangles. I decided to try something a little bit easier. So you may not understand my chicken scratch drawing, and that is totally okay. But I am going to try to recreate it here with these triangles, and we will see how it goes. So this is a tulip that we are trying to create. This is Poppy Parade ink. So now that I have that, I need to turn this sideways. Wow, Kelsey's amazed. I don't know if anybody else is. Okay, so there's the top of the flower. Now I have my Just Jade ink, and this was a design stamp in the right triangle set, so thought I would use it for the stem here. Stamp that a few times just to fill in a little bit better. And now we are going to stamp the same stamp with some Just Jade down here for the leaves. So we'll do one that way, then we flip it around this way. One this way. Flip it around this way. So as you can see, we just made a little tulip. You can make all kinds of other flowers. You can make anything. You can make animals. You can make kitty cats like Kelsey did. But I wanted to show you this and the pineapple to show you that you can make pictures of basically anything along with designs. So now that we've looked at some samples with just the stamps, let's look at a couple of samples with just the dies. Here is a scrapbook page I created that I have not completely finished, but I wanted to show you this beautiful design in the center. Oh, and you know what? I just grabbed the wrong one. But we'll talk about this one for now. That way we'll be done with this one. This is actually the one I used with the stamps and the dies. So here in the stamp set, I used this stamp for the crumb cake pieces, and I used this stamp for the Misty Moonlight. Stamped all of those on some paper. My little helper helped me die cut these out, and I just started playing around with patterns. Again, I looked up quilt patterns on Pinterest and found this pretty one. You quilters out there, you can tell me what this pattern is called because I'm not sure. But I really liked how this pattern turned out. So you can use these stamps with the dies because we have all the different shapes of the dies to go with these right triangles. And then we have all of these dies as well that don't actually coordinate with this stamp set, but some of them coordinate with that triangle set in our holiday catalog. And you can use them just without stamps as well. So that's with the stamps and the dies. Now let's talk about just using the dies. So here's my sample that I've already finished, and I wanted to create this. I love all white quilts. I know that this one looks a little aged. I have an all white quilt that's been handed down through my family. It's not in great shape. It wasn't really a special one, but my aunt gave it to me because nobody else had a particular reason to have it, and I just love it. It's all white. It's aged. You can tell it's been used. We use it for picnics and things like that, but I wanted to create one that looked like that. So I used vanilla cardstock. I cut out a bunch of these small triangles and then some of the medium size and some of the large ones, which you can't tell because they got cut off in the end. But then I embossed half of them with our subtle embossing folder. Bring this a little closer. And half of them with our timeless tasteful textile embossing folder, and put them together. And I thought that was really neat. I sponged over it with some Sahara sand ink to give it the aged look, and I thought that turned out really neat. So now let's create one more sample just with some of the die cuts. So here is something I haven't shown you yet, but I thought it would be really neat if I used the triangle dies and just cut out designer papers, because they will look just like fabric and we can piece them together like a quilt. So while I have these cut, I want to show you how you can play around with these die cuts and put them together in lots of different ways. So I'll give you one example here. If we put them together this way, we have a hexagon. Or we can put two of the triangles together and then we end up with more of diamond shapes. So then you can do lots of different things with these diamond shapes. Or you can, let's see, you can put them side by side in rows. There are just an unlimited number of ways you can put these together. So on this one, I decided I would make a slimline card. And if you're not sure what a slimline card is, go to my website, search for slimline card, and you'll find a tutorial for how to make these. But it is a card that fits in a standard business size envelope. So I decided I would create one this way, and let's see, I have green, floral, white, green, floral, white. So I think that's how I want to put this on here. Space them out in a way that I like. And then I want to show you how kind of a handy tip for how to pick these up and move one of them without moving all of them. And this is the way I did this one right here. Once I got those on there, I didn't want to move all of the rest of them out of the way to pick one up and put adhesive on the back. So I used my take your pick tool with the little sticky end, and I was able to just pick one up at a time, put some adhesive on the back, and then put it back in the right place. So let's put a little bit of adhesive on the backs of these, and we will get it put together. Actually, just for fun, I think it would be nice to pop these up, so let's try that. I better flip them over. And now my spacing is going to change, but we will get that figured out. So I'm curious to hear what you think about this set. And I'm curious if you have ideas for other ways it could be used, because as you can see, you could do all sorts of things with it. I've always liked geometric and kind of general types of sets because you're not locked into making exactly what it was designed for. Like if it's a snowman, or if it is a rose or a daisy or a Christmas tree, there may not be unlimited numbers of ways to use those sets. With something like this, the sky is truly the limit. Okay, now let's see if we can get these back in order. Well, my triangle piecing has maybe hit a wall for the day. I feel like I'm struggling here. Okay, so now that I've got those in place, I'll pull this backing off of the dimensionals and we will stick those down. So I would really like to, I really got into the making pictures out of these triangles. So I hope sometime I have some more time I can sit down and play with this and make some more things like the pineapple. So we'll get these all stuck on. Have any of you tried slimline cards? I know a lot of people are interested in those right now. So if you've been out there making slimline cards, I'd love to see some of those. Okay, so we'll trim the excess off the edges here. Unfortunately, here I'm trimming off my one dimensional. Okay, so we'll go ahead and attach that to this piece of Calypso coral. Then we can get it right there on the card and finish this one. I would also be interested in knowing how many of you out there do quilt as well as paper craft. And a lot of people stick to one or the other, but some people like to dabble in both. So we'll stick our congrats right there, and there you can see a sample with just the designer papers die cut out of the triangles. So I'll bring back in all of our samples, show you all the fun things we have here. just to give you a little bit of an idea of all the things you can make with this really neat set. So I hope you enjoyed this video. You can get more ideas and inspiration on my website at scrappingstampingandstuff.com. I hope you will join back in again next time for another video, and I hope you have a wonderful day.